They said Greece was beautiful, but they didn't tell me it would rewire my soul. It wasn't just the blue-domed churches of Santorini or the mythic cliffs of Meteora. It was a quiet taverna in Crete where a widow gave me olives and stories of her late husband. It was the sound of the Aegean at midnight, when I realized I hadn't checked my phone in hours. This isn't just a travel guide, it's the truth about 10 places in Greece that don't just ask to be seen. They ask to be felt. Why now? Why Greece? Because something's shifting. Travel's becoming more intentional. People aren't just chasing photos, they're chasing meaning. And in Greece, you don't have to look far to find it, whether it's your first time or your fifth. Greece has a way of showing up differently, depending on what you need most. Peace. Adventure. Connection. These 10 places aren't ranked. They're personal. Because that's what Greece is. It's not a checklist. It's a conversation. We start with the obvious. But only because the obvious is unforgettable. Santorini isn't overrated, it's accurately rated. The sunsets in Oia? Yes, people applaud. But it's the early mornings that stay with you. When the cruise ships are still asleep, and the village feels like it's waiting just for you. I met a Canadian couple here who had returned 12 times. This place saved our marriage, the woman told me over a plate of fava beans. That's the thing, Santorini isn't just pretty. It heals. Imagine stone pillars rising like giant fingers into the sky. And on top of them, 14th century monasteries still whispering prayers. That's Meteora. I drove there from Thessaloniki, through winding roads and fog, and when I saw it, honestly, I had to pull over and cry. I don't know why. Maybe because it reminded me how small we are. Maybe because it made me feel close to something sacred. Even if you're not religious, you'll feel it. This place makes silence loud. Crete isn't an island. It's a world. From the pink sands of Elefthenisai to the hidden gorges of Samaria, Crete has a rugged, unpolished kind of beauty. But what struck me most? The people. I stayed in a small guesthouse outside Chania. The owner, Giannis, refused to let me pay for breakfast. This is Crete, he said. You don't pay for kindness. He poured me raki and told me stories of his grandmother hiding soldiers during the war. Crete isn't just a destination. It's hospitality, personified. Athens is messy. Loud. Hot and absolutely essential. Yes, go see the Acropolis, but then lose yourself in Exarchia, where graffiti tells the stories the history books skip. Eat souvlaki standing up. Watch old men argue over backgammon in cafes that haven't changed since 1960. Athens reminded me that a place doesn't need to be perfect to be important. It's the kind of city that grows on you slowly, like a song you didn't like at first, until it became your favorite. Milos is where the Greek gods would have gone to be left alone. I almost didn't include it, because part of me wants to keep it secret. The beaches look like lunar landscapes, carved by wind and sea. Sarakiniko, in particular, feels like stepping into another planet. No cruise ships. No crowds. Just wind, waves, and space to breathe. I journaled for 3 hours here. Not because I had to, but because I finally could. Zagori is the Greece they don't tell you about. Old stone bridges. Villages wrapped in fog. Trails that smell like pine and wet stone. Hiking through Vikos Gorge, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, quiet courage. There was no one else on the path. Just the sound of boots on gravel and the steady pulse of my breath. If Santorini is for dreamers, Zagori is for seekers. Naxos doesn't try to impress you, and maybe that's why it does. No influencers. No flash. Just real food, real families, and views that catch you off guard. I met a farmer named Themis who gave me a tomato from his garden. It tasted like sunlight. I'm not exaggerating. It was the tomato. I grow these the way my father did, he said. And his father before that. Naxos reminded me, sometimes, the best places are the ones that don't care if you come back. Delphi isn't just ruins. It's revelation. Once considered the center of the world, this mountain sanctuary still hums with mystery. I stood at the temple of Apollo, where the oracle once spoke, and felt clarity. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the altitude. Maybe the stillness, but Delphi doesn't give answers. It asks better questions. Rhodes is a paradox, ancient walls and beach bars. Medieval castles and parasailing. And yet, it works. Wandering through the old town, I imagined knights marching through the narrow alleys. By noon, I was sipping cold espresso by the harbor. Rhodes teaches you that you don't have to choose between past and present, you can live in both. No cars. No scooters. Just donkeys, boats, and the sound of your own footsteps. Hydra slows you down. Forces you to notice. I watched an old man paint by the water for 3 straight hours. Not once did he check a phone or look around nervously. Just brush to canvas, over and over. Hydra taught me, not everything needs to be efficient. Some things just need to be. None of these places shouted. They didn't try to sell me anything, they didn't ask to be liked, they simply opened their arms. And waited to be understood, and maybe that's what makes Greece so rare in 2025. It's not just a place to go, it's a place to listen. That I left Greece with more than memories. I left with questions, about simplicity. About slowness. About what we really need when we travel, not more photos. But more moments. As I walked toward my gate at Athens International, I whispered to myself. There are some places you visit, and some that visit you. Greece, without asking, becomes part of you. If even one of these places called your name, follow it. And if you've already been, tell me where Greece found you. I'll be reading every comment. See you in the next story.